This lesson is called What You Need. So this is going to go over everything you need to start selling used books on Amazon FBA the right way. So what you need to source the books is an Android-based cell phone, preferably with data service, but it's not completely necessary. So if you have an Android-based phone already, actually if you have an iPhone, you technically can use that, but you're going to use an Android phone for the way I teach you for a specific reason, and it's something I suggest you get. You can get this as cheap as $10, and I'm going to get into that in the next slide. And the second thing you need is a Bluetooth scanner. There's a lot of choices for this. Again, I'm going to get into some options as we go through this lesson. You're going to need software to scan the books, and that's what's going to pull up the price, pull up the sales rank, pull up all that kind of information you need to make an educated decision on whether you can make money on that book or not. And the software we use is called FBA Scan. You get this from AsellerTool.com, and again, we'll go over that later in the lesson. If you use referral ID Qzx900 we both get a discount on the second month of service of about $15. You're also going to need a little piece of Velcro to attach the Bluetooth scanner to your phone. That goes for like $4. And the next two things are optional. Spare battery pack. So sometimes you might go out scanning and you find someplace really good. So you're there all day and then your battery dies. And then what do? You can get those little spare battery packs for like $10, and they're just really good to have on hand. The next thing is optional but highly recommended, and they're storage bins or totes. And these are what we use to hold the books. So an Android phone. So you can use your own if you have one, or if you want one just to scan books, here's a cheap but functional option, the Samsung Centura. You can get these for as little as $10, and you can see I pulled up one here on eBay going for $11.99 with free shipping, and it's in new condition. So Bluetooth scanner, the Qzx900 and the Socket 8Ci. So both of these models will work just fine, but the Qzx900 is probably going to cost you a lot less. If you look below this lesson, I'm going to give information on the best deal for Bluetooth scanners that I'm currently able to find. So keep your eye on that because that can change over time. So the Qzx900 typically will go between $75 and $150 depending on if it's used, refurbished, new, etc. And the Socket 8Ci is probably going to be more like between $100 or $125 to $200. So it's a little more expensive. So and they both work pretty similarly. So it's really up to you. The socket does fit really well in my hand. So it's kind of got the comfortable factor on it, but they do the same thing. And you're going to need Velcro. So this is just to attach the Bluetooth scanner to your phone. It goes for about $4 on Amazon. And all of these highlighted phrases here are hyperlinks. So if you download this PowerPoint file, you can just click on any of these hyperlinks. It's going to bring you right to Amazon or wherever the store is online for you to easily purchase there if that's what you want to do. Okay, and software is FBA Scan. So FBA Scan is the industry standard when it comes to scanning for books. It comes with a downloadable database, so you don't need internet access. This is really important because a lot of places you're going to find don't have internet. And it's just simply faster to have a downloaded database, and you can download it at will. So the price for one user is $30 a month. If you plan to do this with a partner, for two people, it's $50 a month. So again, if you use a referral ID KIJIX83 when you sign up, it gives us both $15 off the second month. Okay, so storage bins or totes. These are highly recommended to store your books. They're really helpful at places like library book sales. I've tried a lot of storage bins in the past, and by far the winner has been the 12-gallon heavy-duty flip tote in gray, and these are $9.99 at Home Depot. These things can withstand literally almost anything. I've had about 20 of them. I still have every single one. I can't say the same for all the other brands I've tried. They always get messed up one way or another. So to price, list, pack, and ship your books, okay? Now remember, I'm giving you the ideal options here, the ideal way to do all these things so that it's less of a headache. There's all kinds of ways you can do these things, but they're not going to be efficient, and they're not going to help you get to your end goal any better. So these are the things that you need to use to do this right. So you need a barcode scanner so that when you list the books, you can just use a barcode scanner. And I've got mine right over here. I don't know if you can see it. This is what it looks like. It's like $20 on Amazon. And you can just scan the books. It'll pull it up real fast. And that's the fastest way to get your books listed. You need a Dymo Label Writer 450 printer. So these are between like 45 and 65 bucks. You can get them used if you want, but they're thermal printers. So they print based on heat. So you don't have to keep filling them with ink. So it's a really good investment. And these are for the labels that you put on your books when you send them to Amazon, because they have to scan in each book. Okay, you need an inkjet or laser printer to print the box labels, because after you list a bunch of books, they all go in the box, and then you have to close the box up and put a shipping label on to go to UPS, or if you want to do LTL shipping or whatever you want to do. So any normal printer will do for this. I mean, you can get printers for 20 bucks and up now, but hopefully you already have a printer. Packing tape, $10 for a pack of 6 rolls. I'm going to get into all my specific suggestions for these later on. Small moving boxes, so I use the Home Depot 16. It's actually 16 by 12 by 12 inches, not 16 by 16. They are 77 cents per box, and you don't need the heavy duty ones. Those go for twice as much, and they're just not necessary. Inventory Lab is what we use to list the books. It's also really great for accounting, keeping track of expenses and things like that. It's one of those softwares that is so helpful to the business that I held off on it for the longest time, because I was like, I don't want to pay the monthly fee. I already have enough monthly fees. But then once you try it, you use it, you go through the workflow, you're like, oh my God, I can't go back to what I was doing. It took way too long. This is just a standard for my business now. I don't even think twice about it. And then optional, a dolly. So to push the books around, for instance, if you have a lot of books, this can help your back a little bit. So you can get that Home Depot, Lowe's, $40, $50, but it's optional. All right, so barcode scanner. I just showed you mine. This is 20 bucks on Amazon. You can click the link here. We use this to list books. The Dymo Label Writer 450. So this is what we print the labels on for our books. Again, it uses thermal printing, so you don't need ink. It's a great bargain. For the long term, it's going to save you a ton of money. So here's a link for that. Inkjet or laser printer. So you can get these, $20, $30 and up, but any brand's going to do. I use an Epson Workforce 3640 because it also has a scanner and it has a copier as well as 2 paper trays. But you really don't need to spend a lot here. This was just my preference. So this is what I'm using, and I put the link there. Packing tape. So Duck brand packing tape works really, really great for this. And it's strong and it's reliable, and it just blows so many other brands out of the water. So this is the tape that I always use at this link right here. You can get that for $10, $11 or so for package of 6, and those will last a decent while. And then of course the small moving boxes. So these are 16 by 12 inches by 12 inches. They sell for 77 cents at a local Home Depot. Lowe's and other home improvement stores, they're going to have something similar. And again, you don't need the heavy duty version. It's twice as expensive, and it's just not necessary. The Duck packing tape is really sturdy, really good tape. That's going to hold your boxes together, and we have a special way we kind of tape the boxes. So it's just not needed, and it takes up too much room, and it just makes it so you can't put as many books in, and then you're paying twice as much. So it's just not necessary. Okay, so Inventory Lab. So I talked about that a little bit. So it's a software that it not only simplifies listing, pricing, and packaging your items when it comes to packaging and printing out your inventory list, because that's a new requirement. It also comes with excellent accounting features which are built in, which makes doing your taxes at the end of the year a breeze. So it's $49 a month or closer to $40 a month if you pay for a full year. The software has become the golden standard of listing software for Amazon sellers. It's completely taken over the market, and once you use it, it's not hard to see why. So some things to keep in mind. I'm showing you the right way to start a book selling business on Amazon FBA. And that means that we use some software and products that, as experienced booksellers who make between $60,000, $120,000 a year and up, we might take these monthly charges for granted. But newcomers might be wary on the added fees. So if you really, really wanted to, you could go without things like Inventory Lab, and I even put FBA Scan here, but and you could go with something like Profit Bandit, which is like $10 a month, which is all live lookup. So you couldn't, if there's no internet, you're out of luck. And use Amazon Seller Central. You could just use Seller Central to list the books, right? Which is what I did the very first time I listed books. And let me tell you, never again. Never again will I do it that way. However, using this type of software and doing it in this way is so grossly inefficient for book scouting and listing that it would be essentially unethical to recommend them to you for this purpose. So I highly, highly recommend you don't succumb to this way of thinking and instead just simply follow the advice that we give to you in this lesson. So remember, Inventory Lab has a free 30-day trial. So if you do this for 30 days, you say it's not for you, you haven't spent any money on the software. Now, Amazon FBA also gives you a free month before you're charged the monthly seller fee of $39.99 for the professional seller account. So you're going to have plenty of time with that too to give this business a shot and find out if it's something you want to do without spending a bunch of money. Now, the barcode scanner, the Bluetooth scanner, and the label printer, these can all be easily resold online to get most of your money back, or just simply returned if you bought them new on a place like Amazon, for instance. Within the same amount of time. You're going to have at least 30 days to return the stuff. So with that said, please trust us on this. Give the course 100%. Follow the instructions to the T, and I promise you're going to be happy with the results you get. So this video, we're going to assume you've gotten your phone as well as a barcode scanner. You should have a piece of Velcro that you are able to use to attach it to the back. This is the Socket 8CI scanner I'm using right here. It is a refurbished or used scanner, but really a lot of Bluetooth scanners are just fine. The KDC is also a great one. So this is FBA Scan, and this is what it looks like. So assuming you have FBA Scan all set up, the first thing that you want to do is go to these three lines. You want to go to operating mode, make sure it's on database only. Once you've done that, you want to go to download, and it's up to you if you want to pick non-media or just books and media. And you're going to want to hit start to download the database, and you're going to want to make sure you have enough room on the phone. I know it's at least like a gigabyte. You don't really want to do this on a phone that has no space on it and that has like a ton of videos and photos and taking up room. So just make sure you have the space, hit start, and it's going to download everything to a database so that no matter where you are scanning, it doesn't matter if you have Wi-Fi, it doesn't matter if you have an internet connection, everything's going to be stored on the phone. And that is what makes this app very unique. There's only a handful of apps that can do what this does. So once you have the database downloaded and you have it set to DB for database, you want to set a few settings. So again, you're going to want to hit the three lines, and you're going to want to go to settings, And these are the settings that I have checked right now. It's up to you whether you want to display the average sales rank or not. I believe that gives the last 3 months average. Disable sound. I don't usually use sound. If you wanted to put headphones in and let's say you're at a book sale or you're scanning thrift store or wherever you happen to be, and you only want to target the books that have barcodes and you just want to whiz through it, and if you miss 30% or whatever the percentage is of books that may have value and you're fine with it, then you might want to enable sound and just plug some headphones into the phone, and then every time it rings up as something good, you can just get a sound alert, and then you could just throw it in your bag or whatever you're using, your bag or your cart. I disable sound though because I'm always looking at the screen, but so that I'll leave that one up to you. Show item condition, you want that checked. That's going to tell you whether it's very good, acceptable, like new, because that's good information to have. Show number of offers, you want to know how many people are selling it, so we have that checked. Keep screen bright in lock is a good one to use. Use landed price, list plus shipping. So for the merchant offers, I like to have it show the price plus the $4 shipping credit. So that's the way I like to have it set, and that's the way I'm going to go through the course. So make sure you have these set the way mine is currently set. Enable triggers, those are the buy triggers that I have another video for. Those are mostly 90% or so accurate, possibly even more accurate than that. And those are going to tell you, buy or don't buy. So we want those enabled. Display rank color, that's always good because if it's a really fast moving book, it'll show green. If it's slower moving, it'll show red. And if it's in the middle, then it shows, either blue or yellow. Letter for condition, this is important. We definitely want to pick this because the way they show condition without this option checked is really weird and very unintuitive. So letter for condition you want checked. Everything else is pretty optional. If you want it to talk to you every time you scan something, that's up to you. These are pretty unnecessary, so I don't use those. The whole camera thing, those are really pointless. You definitely don't want shake to open camera, because then every time you make the slightest move, it's going to open the camera. So all that stuff is unchecked. So those are the settings. So let's go over what all this stuff means. So the profit in the top left, that's going to be based off of whatever you have selected. So if we have $8 selected here, it's going to base it off of that. So if we click on this, we can set some parameters. So if you click on an FBA price, it's going to bring up the FBA fees. We could set a shipping charge rather, and I have it set to 30 cents per pound, and it all depends on where it's going, but that's a reasonable number. And the cost of purchase. So let's say we paid $1 for the book. We put 1, hit done, and that would give us a profit of $1.53, right? So that's why we're looking for books that are a little more expensive if we can. Certainly, on average, we're looking for $10 and up. Below $10, it really depends. But for FBA, we want to be selling $10 and up. So that'll tell you, what you should make net profit on the item. It also depends on the weight, which is shown at the top right, where it says 2 right there for 2 pounds. The heavier it is, the more you get charged for fees. So always keep that in mind. But normally, you want to go for 10 or more. So this book at $8 is an acceptable condition. So if I had a like new, maybe even very good copy, I could probably charge 10 for this. Now, the middle column is the merchant offer. So these are people shipping their books themselves. So these people are not going to charge as much because they don't get the Prime benefits. So they can charge less than us because, they have less fees. But at the same time, they don't have the labor benefits of having FBA do it. So, we can travel the world and send our inventory in and just let our business run itself. These people have to be there every day to ship out their books. So it's a whole different game. So these people, $5.89. So this is like $1.80 or something plus, $4 shipping, right? So you have to remember it's adding in that $4 credit here. And then the new price. So this is merchant, new price. Now, if you want to see all the FBA offers, you're going to have to be online. So you're going to need Wi-Fi. If you check that, click on that FBA column, we could see we got a very good for $8.95, a good for $9.72, and that'll give you that information. So sometimes that's helpful. I would only go through that though if you really have time. Certainly in like a book sale environment, I wouldn't be going through that. You're going to want to be really zipping by and, go based off what you see on the screen. Now the merchant column, I go off of this, a lot of the time. And in the video where I show you when I'm actually at the thrift store scanning, you're going to see it's really quick. I see the merchant price. If it's a penny book, which means it shows like $4.09 or so, I just keep moving. I don't take a ton of time to research it because it's just not worth picking up penny books. It's like 99% of the time, it's just not going to be worth your time. Now, the number next to it is how many copies are at that condition. So we've got, one good, another one good, and then we have 3 good for this one. So it's going to give you an idea of how many copies at a certain condition there is. And the same thing on the left. You could see 1A for acceptable. There's 1 acceptable copy at $8, where, for the merchant, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goods at that price. So useful information to have. Then we have sales rank. This is the next most important thing. So as far as, determining whether to buy a book or not, the most easiest way to do it is the buy signal. So once you set the triggers, if it says buy, right, that's just an obvious thing. Like, okay, the triggers say good, then, it's worth it. But if you're looking at the data, you're going to want to look at that merchant price, so under the used, and the sales rank. And those two things are going to tell you, whether you should buy the book. The FBA column is not always going to show that data. That's why we go by that middle column. So very important to keep that in mind. And, that's pretty much it. So as far as the sales rank, I have another video explaining sales rank. But 439,000, who knows? That could sell 5 times a month. Maybe it sells a little more than that. I go over that in my sales rank lesson, but 439,000 is not bad. I would expect that to sell usually within a few months. Everything looks okay on this book. If I were to buy it for $1 and it was in pretty good condition and I could sell it for, let's say, $9, I would make a profit of probably $2.53 or something like that. Now that's profit, right? So that's after you get the dollar you spent on it back. Obviously, there's not a ton of meat on the bone with these, $8, $9 books. But when you add them up in bulk, and a lot of the time you're going to get books for even less than $1 to $2. Sometimes you get them for damn near free. So in that case, you're getting more like $3.53 profit, which is, not bad at all. Especially when you're sending in hundreds of books a week, potentially 1,000 books a week if you can manage it. It's not gonna, it's still gonna be worth it for you, is the point I'm trying to make. But on average, you're really going for $9 to $10 minimum FBA. Any less than that, usually not going to be worth your time. But this is, the main screen. This is the screen you're going to be seeing. And I have a book right here. So if we scan this, hit the button, scan the barcode, and here's some more data. So this is a book we wouldn't buy. First, because it says reject. Second, because the price just isn't very good, and the rank is kind of high. 2.33 million. I mean, if you look at my triggers, I'm not buying these 2 million or over ranked books unless they're bringing $15 to $20 on a low end. So $6 in good condition is pretty bad for a book with this rank. So this is a book that would either get recycled, sold on eBay, sold locally, but this is not an FBA book, right? But it's the same criteria, same thing, same exact thing. If you want to go through the profit for each book, this is really just something for you to get a feel for how much profit you make at different prices, at different weights. But you know, you're really not going to be going through this profit screen every time, checking everything out, because you're going to know how much you make on average. That's FBA scan, and you know, that's how it works. Now, if you want to enter a ISBN, you simply click up here. It's going to bring up a little keypad. Now, you can see the 978 at the bottom left. So some books have that 978. Some books have that 978 ISBN. So that's just a quicker way to put it in. Otherwise, you just, you know, type it in. It'll enter the number up there, and you hit search, and it's going to look it up the same exact way as if you had scanned it with the barcode scanner. So, you know, that's pretty much it. That's FBA scan, and make sure you check out that sales rank video to get some more information on sales rank, and make sure you also check out the live thrifting video to get a little more information as far as, you know, what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the actual data out in thrift stores when we're talking about more than just using the triggers. So this video is going to be about trigger settings. It's going to go over triggers for selling books on Amazon FBA. So this is where you're going to pick up the best of the best books, and you're going to leave the crappier books for people that sell in bulk, or, you know, to be recycled or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, you want the books that are going to sell, that are going to make you profit. You want the higher dollar books. You want the textbooks that are, you know, expensive. You want the obscure books that are going to ring up at a price that makes sense. And these triggers are going to work for you 90% of the time, I would say. There's going to be some percentage of the time where they don't work that great. So for those times, it's something that you're going to want to learn the data. However, for someone that's new, for someone that just wants to hire a family member, hire an employee, quickly show them the basics, give them a scanner and say, look, if it says buy, put it in the bag. If it says reject, I want you to keep moving until you find another one that says buy. And that's going to work 90% of the time. And I've used these a lot. I've used these with my own team and my own employees, and it works really well. There are situations where it doesn't work that great. I'll give you one example of that now. For example, if a book says buy, but the price, you know, let's say it's $9 or $10, but the weight, which you can see right here, is something high, let's say, you know, 10 pounds or something, you know, really high like that. You know, that's a situation where, you know, the triggers could steer you wrong, because it's not going to give you weight specifications that you can set. I would say it happens pretty slim chance of that happening. But it does happen, so be prepared that you're going to get some books that, you know, maybe you'll lose a couple bucks on, right? But again, the other thing is these triggers are based around $1 to $2 by cost. If you are going to spend more than $1 to $2, you're going to want to go. There's another video in this course that's going to go over live sourcing with me scanning books live, and I'm going to tell you whether it's a book I would buy or not, and I'm going to tell you why. And it's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty straight to the point. So reading the data is not very hard, but again, for someone that's new, or for someone that just wants to hire someone and to, you know, hand them a scanner and get the job done quick, these are going to work a very high percentage of the time. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is go to these three lines at the top left. You should always be in DB for database mode. If you're not, you know, of course you want to make sure that you go to operating mode and choose database. But you're going to want to scroll down to advanced triggers, because that's what we're going to use. You're going to want to go to book. And these are the trigger settings I have set. Okay, so you can see I have quite a few set. And I'm going to click on the top one. So what you're going to want to do is click on add. You're going to want to click on add, and you're going to want to make your settings look exactly like mine. So you can see that the top two say enable and ignore FBA offers. So make sure those are checked. Now for everything else, you want to also look like my settings here. The only two settings that are going to change are this minimum offer price and the max sales rank. So everything else is going to stay the same. So you want to copy these settings right here, and you can pause the video if you have to. And we're just going to go through a couple one by one, and then once you get the hang of it here, I'm just going to show you the main screen, because hopefully you should get the hang of, the other settings are staying the same. So once again, these two top settings, always have them checked. Message by, which offer to use lowest. Sound, you don't really need a sound, and color should be green. Everything else, as far as minimum offer price and max sales rank, those are the only two things that change, okay? So these are the settings for the second trigger. Again, if you need more time, just pause the video. So for everything else, you kind of saw what my settings were as far as the other things you can't see on the screen. So these are what the rest of them look like. Make sure yours look like mine. Okay, once again, pause the video if you need to, but I'm going to go over exactly what this means. So for instance, if a book rings up and it has a sales rank of 100,000 or less, it's going to use this trigger right here. And what this trigger says is if the book is $4.50 or more, and it's under that 100,000 sales rank, it's going to give you a buy signal. If the book is less than that, it's going to say reject. I'll give you another example. If a book is 1.2 million rank, let's say, that's going to use this trigger right here. And the reason is the 1.2 million rank is higher than this 1 million rank here, which it labels as 1000K for whatever reason. So because it's higher than that, it's going to use this next one. So if the rank is between 1 million and 1.5 million, it's going to use the higher one. So let's say the book is 1.2 million rank and the lowest price that comes up is $12. That's going to come up a buy because it's within those two ranks and because the minimum price is 9. So because that price is higher than 9, it's going to give you a buy signal. So hopefully that makes sense, but we'll go over a couple examples. We'll take a look at this book right here. And this has a barcode, so it's nice and easy. Okay, we can see this is a 4.7 million rank. It has the lowest price. Again, this is the merchant price. So this is that middle column that it's looking at. Lowest one of $8.79. Not very high for such a high ranked book. And it says reject, and rightfully so. This is not a book you want in your FBA inventory. It's not going to make you a profit, and it's not going to sell in a reasonable amount of time to warrant those storage fees. So for that reason, this is a rejection, and I'll give you the exact reasons right now if we go look at the trigger settings that we just set. So it's 4.7 million rank. That's pretty high. So what is it looking at? It's looking at this one that says 5 million right here, because again, 4.7 million rank is higher than 4 million, so this one it's not looking at anymore at that point. It's looking at this one that says 5 million. So it's between 4 and 5 million, so it's looking at this one. The lowest price it wants here is $45, and this is nowhere close to that. So this is coming up reject, and rightfully so. So we can take a look at another book. We'll take a look at this book about emotion regulation in school-age children. That's a very specific title, right? So we would expect this book to sell for something. So let's see if that's the case. Sure enough, this book is selling for a minimum price of $30. This is one of those subjects that, it's something that is pretty specific, right? So it has a sales rank of 2.2 million. Lowest price, merchant price, so this middle column of $30.29, and it says buy. And that's a good buy signal because this is definitely a book that I would love to pick up, especially for $1 to $2. And 2.2 million rank, this thing might sell a couple times every 2 months, could sell once every 3 months. But my pricing video goes over the best things to do for that. And, I have books at this rank, they sell all the time because I price them right. I use good descriptions. So it's not really that much of an issue. 2.2 million, yeah, it's a little high, but it's still good, especially at this price. I would definitely pick something like this up. But let's see what trigger setting this is actually looking at to make its decision. So 2.2 million rank. So it's higher than 2 million, so it's not looking at this anymore. So it'd be looking at this one. This says 3 million. Now it says if the book is between 2 and 3 million, and the price is $20 or higher, it's going to give you a buy signal. Obviously 30 is higher than 20, so this said buy, and this would be a great book to pick up. Make some good money on this. So we'll look at one more book here. Franklin Roosevelt book. We'll scan it real quick. And we can see this is a book that has a 441,000 sales rank. So this book sells a fair amount. Lowest merchant price is $12.59. Again, this is including the shipping credit that these merchant sellers get. So it's saying buy. And I would completely agree with that. Obviously, as these are my trigger settings. So this looks really good. This is a book I definitely want to pick up. 441,000 with the price of $12.59 as the lowest. Let's take a look again at what trigger this would be using. All right, so this book is going to be going under this one for 500K because it's higher than 250K rank, so it's not going to use that one. So the price on this was over 12 bucks, and we can see that if the lowest price is $5.50 or higher and the rank is between these two, which it is, it's going to give a buy signal. So that is exactly what happened when this made its decision. $12.59 is well within the range of a book considered acceptable at this sales rank. This is a book that's going to sell. This is a book that's going to make a decent profit. So this is definitely a book that I would pick up every time. And the triggers will guide you correctly in these cases. Again, so this is all for the examples I want to show you. I think it should be pretty clear by now. If it's not, you can reach out on Facebook. You can send me an email, open a ticket, however you want to do it, whatever you want to do. And you can ask your question. But this is what I use for new employees. This is really good for people that are new to the business. And this is just really good to something real quick. When you want something quick and you just want to say buy or reject, and this is really good for that and for those situations. I can even show you one thing here that you can do real quickly before I end this video. If you have employees or if you are giving a scanner to someone, you simply want to say buy or reject, but you don't want them to know the pricing. All you have to do is set it to hidden mode. So if you click up here, you can go to your options and you go to settings here. And all you have to do is go to hidden mode and check that off. And now once you go back here, you can see all that pricing data is gone. It's still stored in the software, but the person using the phone's not going to see it. Unless they go menu diving into those menus to turn it off, they're not even going to know about it. So in this case, for instance, if this would be helpful to you, where you wouldn't want people to see the pricing information, you can see it does still show the weight, which is good. So this is good for a lot of people. They don't want to give too much information, and sometimes it's just unnecessary. You don't need people knowing, what the price is going for. You just need them to know whether to buy or not. So this is a great setting for that. FBA Scan has provided us this option, and I've used this in the past, and it has come in helpful. So hopefully that helps you out, and I'll catch you in the next lesson. Over time, I've developed this scanning method, and I had to develop this because it simply took too long to look up books that didn't have ISBNs or barcodes. Yeah, you could always go and look them up at the end, which I still suggest you do. However, it still took too long to, even when you say the name into it, it may be faster than typing it, but it still takes far too long when you have a lot of books. So I ended up coming up with what I think is the best method, bar none, for looking up all types of books. What you need is FBA Scan on your phone, and FBA Scan is going to cover books that have ISBNs as well as barcodes. You're also going to need the Amazon Seller app at the bottom left corner here, and that is going to cover books that do not have ISBNs or barcodes. And what you're going to want to do is have both of these programs open. So when you hold down the button on your Android phone, because you should be using an Android, you'll see that you have both programs open like that. Let's say we're in FBA Scan and we're scanning and we find a bunch of books and they all have barcodes, but now we get to a book that has no ISBN and no barcode. We have two choices. The first choice is we can put it to the side and do them all at the end. But the second choice is actually still pretty good. What you have to do is download a program called Switcher. SWITCHR. It's a free program. And once you have that installed, you want to make sure your settings look just like this. Now, as far as set up edge triggers, you want to make sure that it looks just like that, where it's a good portion of the left and right side. It should go from all the way from the top to bottom. As far as what style to use, I mean, I wouldn't suggest grid or arc, but you can use either flow or slide, and they both work pretty decent. I'm pretty sure I'm using slide right now. But either one of those will work, and I'm going to show you the workflow of this. So let's say that we're an FBA scan, and we're going through books. That one comes up. We go to this one. That one comes up. And now we get to this one, and let's say that this one doesn't have an ISBN or barcode. What I do is I put my thumb here, and I flick like this. It brings this up. I hit this little camera at the top right. And it brings up this optical scanner. And now I simply point this at the book, and it's going to bring up the book. And now I don't even go past this page. What I look at are a couple things. First of all, I look at the new and used price. If it's more than a penny book, then I look into it further. Now you also want to look at the sales rank. You can see it has a good sales rank, and it's not a penny book. Those two things mean I'm going to look further into it. If it comes up as a penny book, I don't go any further, and that was a really fast way to look into the book. So let's say this deserves a further look. You hit this, and it's going to bring it up. My internet's a little slow. We go down, I go to used, and then you go to this little arrow right here. And then you could see some better pricing on the book. And that's about all I need to know. All I need to do, go back to the ISBNs, is simply put my finger over here and swipe back like that. And just like that, I'm back and able to pull up books with barcodes and ISBNs, and it was that fast. So, one more thing. If you open Amazon Seller app and you don't see that screen, what you have to do is actually go to the button that says scan. So you want to hit scan, and then it'll bring up this screen. So if you don't see the optical screen, that's what you need to do. Now, a couple things to note. If the optical doesn't pull up the book, then I put it to the side and make a stack, and all those get done at the end. Also, you may just simply want to decide to put all the books that you look up optical to the side anyway and do them all one after another. You can really do it either way. But with that Switcher app, you can switch between the two really fast, and there's really not that much downtime. Now, if it's not pulling up books, but you think it should be, and sometimes that can happen, probably what the issue is the camera. The camera probably on your phone might be starting to go. It has happened to me before. So if that's the case, then you want to try a different phone, download the Amazon Seller app, hit scan, and try it on that phone and see if it works any better. But this is how I go to bag sales and book sales and just get, I completely wipe the place clean because I have these processes in place where I can look up the books that other book scanners skip. Now you have to realize that 90% of book scanners skip ISBNs alone. So when you add up the fact that they skip ISBNs and they definitely aren't looking up books that you have to use the optical scanner or stay in manually. So now with this technique, you can not only get the books that everyone else gets by scanning, but you can also get those books that everyone overlooks, which means the books that have ISBNs and the books that have no barcode and no ISBN, because those books can be very profitable. This is the technique that I use. It is a very, very effective technique. In fact, I don't know of anyone using this exact method. I would keep this to yourselves because this is just that one more competitive advantage you can use to make more money than your competitors. All right, this video is going to be about sales rank and understanding sales rank, what it means, and why it's relevant. Sales rank is technically defined as the amount of time since an item last sold. So for sourcing, this is the metric that you're going to use to determine the sell-through rate or how often an item is going to sell. So to find the sales rank, if you're in Amazon.com, if you scroll down to product details, that's where it's going to show it to you. And you could see right here, it says Amazon bestsellers rank 27,321 in books. Okay, it also says 13 in arts, photography, other media, mixed media, and it gives you two more ranks down here, 15 and 26. So there's a lot of relevant information here, and I want to briefly explain it. The first thing is the only number that we care about is the one that's right next to Amazon bestsellers rank. This is the rank for the entire category, and this category happens to be books. So 27,321, that's all we care about. This down here are 3 subcategories. These are not something that are really relevant. 13 in mixed media doesn't really mean anything to us as far as when we're sourcing or anything like that. So just some examples of sales rank and pricing and things like that. Here is a book called Paint Mojo. Now this is a screenshot from a program called Profit Bandit, but FBA Scan looks very similar. Profit Bandit has a sales rank right here where it says rank, and it has a category right here where it says category. Now we are going to use FBA Scan for books, but I'm just showing you a different program, and this is just to show you an example. I will show you an example of FBA Scan as well and where to find the information. But in this example, sales rank is 91K, the category is books, the lowest FBA price is $14.25, and this is exactly the same as FBA Scan. FBA is to the left, this is the FBA column. The new column, which is merchant, is to the right of that, and the used column, which is also merchant, is to the right of that. Now again, this is combined used and new FBA. And then new goes to 1875, and then merchant 1424. What you should notice about this is that the merchant and FBA price are very similar, okay? They're almost the same. Now, with a bestseller rank of 91,000, that's what this is, this book will sell about maybe 10 to 15 times per month on average. On average. And that's bolded there because it can completely change based on a number of factors. So here's an FBA Scan screenshot example. In FBA Scan, it's going to show up right over here, and you can see there's a color. So blue is basically in between, like, I think it's between like 150K and 500K or something like that. It will show you the current sales rank to the left, and it's going to show the average sales rank to the right. The average sales rank is a feature of FBA Scan, and it's going to tell you the average rank of the item over the last 3 months. This is a good metric because sales rank can fluctuate so much. This is kind of a stopgap measure to kind of compensate for that. Because, for example, if this book had an average sales rank, let's say, of more closer to 900,000, but right now the book has a sales rank of 180,000 currently, that's something that you might want to know because that will affect your sourcing decisions and how much you might pay if you're paying on a per book basis. So here's one more example. This is a sales rank 169,000 category book again. Now the lowest FBA is $24.99. This is Amazon selling it. The lowest merchant's $18.24. Okay, so with 169K rank in books, the book will sell about 5 times per month on average. Finally, I have a book here, another art book. This is a 1.5 million rank, so now we're quite a bit higher than the ones that we just looked at. So this is also in books. The lowest FBA is $35.99 in very good condition. That's what this V stands for, and it's the same thing in FBA scan. The lowest merchant is $32.77. Now, with a rank around 1.5 million, this book will sell about 1 time per month on average. Okay, so a big difference between this and the last 2 examples that we just went over. Sales rank and average sales rank are going to be some of the main factors that we use when determining whether or not to buy a book and to send it into FBA. Other than the price, the sales rank is one of the biggest factors that we're going to use, and it's quick, and it's the best that we can get from Amazon. There is a better way of determining how quickly a book will sell, but we only use this when the price of the book we're buying is really high or when we're listing and pricing the books. The reason for that is when you're outsourcing, it just takes longer to look up the book, the other method, to find out how often it may sell, and it's just not worth it unless you're spending a lot on the book. So pricing based on sales rank is also very important. The most important thing to the majority of buyers on Amazon, with all other things being equal, is price. This is true almost 100% of the time. There are people who prioritize purchasing from FBA sellers, and they will buy from them even if their price is higher. This does happen. However, the larger the gap between the merchant and FBA price, the more likely a buyer is to forget about their FBA preference and go with the cheaper offer. So this is very important. And right here, I have a visual representation of what I call the buyer split. If we have an example book, let's say, and merchants have it priced at $5, which we'll say is the $1 plus $4 shipping credit that a merchant seller gets, and the FBA price is $10, there's quite a difference there. The FBA price is actually twice the cost of the merchant price. Now, also in this example, we're going to say the sales rank is 50,000. So we're an FBA seller. Do we price at $5? Do we price at $10? Or do we price somewhere in between? And the answer to that all depends on the sales rank. Now, this visual representation here, you can see FBA buyers in green, and that's these 3 dots right here. So if you have a box, and this represents all the buyers on Amazon, people that prioritize FBA and will spend more money are the green dots. The merchant buyers are going to be the people who just care about price, and these people are the yellow dots right here. Now, this isn't completely accurate, but this is overall pretty much how it is on Amazon. FBA buyers, let's say a book is, for example, $10, but the merchant price is $5. There are going to be more buyers that are going to buy that $5 book than will buy the $10 book. And the reason for that is simply what I mentioned in the last slide, which is that price is the number one determining factor on who gets the sale, with all other things being equal. So assuming the feedback rating is the same, assuming that the condition of the book is the same, then the person is going to pick the lower price item 99% of the time. Back to our question, we're an FBA seller. Where do we price it? The sales rank 50K. Well, I made a graph to represent this because this is something that is never really explained the right way. Pricing is done by sales rank for the most part. So other than the existing offers and how much someone else has it priced, because you have to base your pricing somewhat on what people already have it priced for. The sales rank is the next thing that really determines where you can price that book. So here's what this graph means. On the left are sales ranks. So here's a 5K sales rank up top. Now that's a book that sells a lot, right? That book probably sells 50 times a month, 100 times a month, maybe even more. And then we have 50,000. So that book also sells quite a bit. And then we go down further and further, 100K, 250K. And as we go up in sales rank, the number of copies that item or the number of SKUs that item sells per month goes down. So what does this mean on the right? We have dots here, and we have where it says FBA, and then we have FBA/merchant, and then we have merchant finally at the bottom. So what does that all mean? So FBA, this means that if the sales rank is 5,000, then you should basically only be looking at FBA offers. You're an FBA seller. The merchant prices aren't really that relevant unless there's a huge gap. Even then, with the sales rank this low, there's so many people buying that box that I showed in the last slide with buyer split, there's so many people that you can price your item higher and still get that sale. Pricing at the merchant price would be flat out foolish at a sales rank this low. You would simply be throwing away money. Now, when we go down to 50K, it's still pretty much the same thing. And that's what this bar to the right kind of represents. It's still selling a lot, right? It's still selling 20, 50, 70 maybe copies a month. It's selling a lot. So we can still price against other FBA offers. So if FBA was priced at $50, but merchants were priced at $30, if the rank was 50K, I would be looking at FBA only for this sales rank range. Now, as we go down to 100K, I start to look at the merchants a little bit. And that's what this key over here represents. This says mixed. So when it's yellow and green, that means I'm looking at both now. Now, I'm only looking at the merchants a little bit, right? Because you can see there's only a little bit of yellow here. So at 100K, I start to consider the merchant price a little bit. Now we go down a little further to 250K. And now we're talking about, maybe 10 sales a month, something like that. Maybe 15 sales a month, something like that. So now the yellow is getting a little stronger. So now with that example of the $30 merchant and $50 FBA, I'm considering that merchant price a little bit more now in how I price that book, because I want my book to sell fast and I want my book to sell at as much of a profit as I possibly can. You need both of those things to happen, or you're going to be throwing away money. As we go down even further to 500K, it's almost an even split in the middle. I'm going to be looking at FBA prices and merchant prices pretty much the same at this point. So 500K, what is that? Well, it could sell 7 times a month. It could sell only 3 times a month. It depends on a lot of things. But 500K, I'm kind of considering them both, and I'm going to go possibly maybe right in the middle of the two. Now, once we hit 1 million, I'm looking at the merchants a lot more than the FBA. The reason is the buyer split. There's simply not that many sales happening of this book at 1 million rank like they were happening at lower ranks. So I need my book to sell in a quick manner because I don't want to rack up storage fees, but more importantly, long storage fees. When that book sits for 6 months, you get charged $11 and change per cubic foot. That will add up really quick if you aren't pricing your books in a correct way. So at 1 million rank, I'm really looking at those merchant prices now because I need to make sure that when those buyers come along, let's say only let's say only 5 people buy the book in a month, which is still pretty good. I want my copy to be the first copy, or at least the second copy. So as we go even further down to 2 million, at this point, this is where I cut it off. This is where I say, I'm looking at the merchant offers and the merchant offers only. If the merchants have it at 30, but FBA, some guy is priced out there at 60 or even 50 or something like that, I pay him no mind. Will that guy's book sell? Maybe. But we know through tons of statistical data that price is the main thing that buyers look for. They look for the price. They want the cheaper price. Do they really care that much that your book is going to get there in 2 days and the merchant seller is going to get there in 4 days, let's say? And as the price gap grows larger, they really start to not care and they will change their preference. 3 million plus rank, you can see it's pretty much the same thing. My cutoff is 2 million, and this chart is very important. It's actually exactly the way I do my repricer settings as well. They are all based on this chart and on this graph. You can take this and use it to your own needs and either price more aggressive or more passively based on how fast you want your inventory to sell and how much you care about getting those few extra dollars of profit, or in the case of the really low rank books, a lot more profit. And that's really important when we get into things like textbook flipping and things like that, which we'll talk about at a later point in the course. But you can see that yellow here, that's aggressive, right? We get down to 2 million rank, I'm not playing around at that point. I'm not going to price my book $10 higher, $15 higher, sometimes even $5 higher. I'm just not going to do it because it's just a few dollars. Like, I don't care at that point. Once we get up to that higher dollar amount, that merchant price becomes very, very important, and you have to price aggressive or your books won't sell. They won't sell. They'll sit and they'll rack up storage fees, and you'll wonder, oh, well, this guy on YouTube told me he has penny books that sell for $20 all the time. Bullshit. It happens sometimes. But 1 out of 30 books sells that way. What happens to the other 29 that don't? They rack up fees and you lose money. So the sales rank chart importance, I mentioned this a little bit, but this is very important. And this is the first visual representation I've done of my pricing methodology ever. And I'm putting this into this course because of how important it is and how much people really need to grasp this concept. And this is why I did it in a visual way, because I know people learn in different methods. So you either are picking up on what I'm telling you or you're picking up on this visually. But hopefully you're picking up on this one way or the other. And it basically is a visual representation of how a professional bookseller should price their books for maximum sell-through rate and profit. If you ignore one, your books will never sell. If you ignore the other, your books will never generate a good profit. So you have to look at both factors. So I do want to show you one quick example. Now, I have a book up here. Now, it's called College Algebra 12th edition. This is a 2016 textbook. And this is a very good example because it's a recent book. If we go down here, we can see we have basic information here, right? It says 24 new copies at 196, 28 used at 144. Okay, so let's click on used and let's see some more information. So this is a Keepa graph right here, and this shows a lot of good information, and I'll get into this in another video, but for now we're just going to look at these offers. So we could see we got an acceptable copy, right? This is the worst. This is the worst condition there is. It's at 144 plus shipping. This is a merchant seller. Okay, so they have the $4 shipping credit, and we go down, we can see here we go. We have a very good for $149.49. This is an expensive book, guys, right? And you can find books like these at thrift stores for $1, for $2. I find stuff like this all the time. Now we go down more, and here we've got Rock City Books, okay? They have a very good book, $202.56. This is $50 higher than the merchant price. $50. That is a lot higher. Is it justified? Is it justified? That's the question. Well, if we go up here and we click back on the listing and we go down to product details, that will tell us our sales rank. And we can see that the sales rank is 195,000. Okay? So at 195,000, if we go to our sales rank chart and we take a look at this here, we can see that it's kind of between 100 and 200K. Well, between that, we're pretty much looking at FBA prices, right? It's in the mixed, but there's a lot more green than yellow. We're mainly looking at FBA. There's a really good chance that our book's going to sell if we just look at FBA prices. There's a couple more factors involved, but for the most part, that $200, it's somewhat justified, okay? Somewhat justified. However, there is one thing that makes it not quite justified. And I'm going to show you what that is now, but I'm going to get into that more in the pricing videos. But I will tell you right now while we're going over it. You can see the new start at 196. Right? New starts at 196. It's a merchant copy. Granted, it's not FBA. They don't get it in the 2 days, but it's new. So does it make sense to price a book $50 above a merchant offer when there is a new copy for $196? Usually not. Usually not. If I was pricing this, I would probably price it maybe 180, 175, 180, something like that. Simply because pricing it over new doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And you don't want the buyer to feel like they're getting ripped off. And that's what people are going to feel like. And they're just going to choose the guy that has it for new. Because, like I said, when you look at that buyer split, there's just simply more people. They just care about getting the book cheaper. They don't care about the prime shipping that much. So here's just a quick example I want to show you. This is super relevant for textbook flipping during August, September, and January. You can buy books for cheap and sell them FBA and make a huge profit, and it's all about sales rank, right? Because you can't be buying, for example, a book for $50 merchant and sell it for $200 FBA when the sales rank is 2 million, right? That's not going to happen. There's not enough buyers in that pool, okay? There's not enough people to find those buyers that we care about, right? The buyers that we care about when we're flipping things like textbooks are those buyers that only buy FBA because they're out there. There are buyers that will only buy FBA strictly for whatever reason, whether it's because it comes from the Amazon warehouse and they don't want to deal with third-party merchants. That's one of the big reasons. Sometimes people had a bad experience with the merchant seller. They wanted to return something and they were giving them a hard time and they couldn't get the item returned, and now they only deal with FBA. Those people are out there, and you can make a ton of money by flipping things like textbooks during these times of year when you use the right criteria, like doing the right sales rank. And this is another section of the course that we'll go over. But I just wanted to give you this brief overview on sales rank, what it's about, to finally put to rest what is it? What does it do? Why do we use it? And just kind of give you this overview. And I'm also going to include the chart in the lesson. Download it. You don't have to abide by it completely, but this chart is very important, and it's something that you can use for your own business to generate your own pricing methodology, whether you want to go a little more aggressive than I am or whether you want to go a little more passive. It all depends, okay? But this is a very good place to start, and you can get some real solid sell-through rates by using this. And I know because I've tested it. I'm going to put that down below. Give that a download, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Okay, so this module is setting up Inventory Lab. First thing you gotta do is obviously sign up to Inventory Lab. Then you have to log in. It's going to show you the basics of how everything looks. When you first go in, you have all these different sections up here. List is where you go to list everything. 99% of what we do in here is on this tab right here. But what I'm talking about right now are the actual settings. So you go up to your name top, go to settings, and you have all this stuff on the left hand side. Okay, so now I have all this stuff set up, and basically the first tab, the shipping information, you're going to want to put your name, your address, city, state, zip code, all that stuff. So you could put all that stuff right there. And now for the rest of the stuff right here, I have this all set up in slides, so we'll just get right to it. The very first one is called Suppliers List. This is basically where you get your inventory. If you get some from thrift stores, you can set specific thrift stores, or you could just put thrift. You could put Goodwill, you could put Savers, whatever you want to put. If you get some from book sales, you could just put book sale. You could see on this list, I got a little bit more specific. I put book sale Colchester or book sale Ellington. It's completely up to you what you want to do. So when you go to list the books, you basically choose something that you set from your supplier list. So we're going to skip the expense and income categories for now. Okay, so condition notes. This is your default condition notes. And in red is the very default one. Okay, and then the other two are just going to be preset condition notes that you set that you can change to if you find the need. So we'll start with like new. Okay, these are the notes that have worked the best for me. If it's in red, it's because it's gotten me the most sales. Okay, excellent condition, clean, crisp pages, essentially a new book. Ships directly from Amazon, eligible for free shipping and Amazon Prime. I also have two variations here. The first one, excellent condition, clean, crisp pages, only minor dust jacket wear. This is books that are like new, but might have like a little tiny little tear on the dust jacket, or just something super minuscule, but I don't feel comfortable saying essentially a new book. Okay, but it's still like new, so I just change it to that. Okay, and my third one is for CDs. If you're listing a CD like new, it should truly be, it should basically be completely mint. So this is what I found works the best. From a mint private CD collection, this particular CD was never used. Comes in original jewel case with all inserts, essentially a brand new CD minus some minor jewel case wear. Ships direct from Amazon. Okay, that works really good for like new CDs. Very good. This is going to be a condition note you use quite often. This and good are probably the most common. No highlighting or underlining. Somewhere, but overall very good condition. Ships direct from Amazon, blah, blah, blah. If you want to put that stuff at the end, it's completely up to you. But I always put at least ships direct from Amazon. Now, you can choose whichever one of these you want. I'm giving you options here, but I'm letting you know that what I find works the best for me is going to be the one that's highlighted red. Now, you can change it up a little bit. If you want to use the same exact wording, I don't really care. Go ahead and do it. It doesn't bother me one bit. Anybody that's bought used books on Amazon is basically have had different experiences because everybody grades their books differently. So people have gotten very good books and there's highlighting in it, which is absurd, but this stuff happens and people really hate highlighting. So that's why we put it right up front in capital letters. It's capital for a reason. Now the next comment works very good too. It's very simple, straight to the point. You could also use this if you want to. Clean, crisp pages with a tight binding. Ships direct from Amazon. Works very good too. You could pick one of those two. Okay, the next one I have some dust jacket wear, but overall very good condition. Clean, crisp pages with a tight binding, blah, blah, blah. You see the common theme here? If your book is in very good condition, the pages shouldn't have highlighting, underlining, markings all over it. If it has that, it's pretty much a good condition book or worse, depending on the other factors. So there's that. And of course, X library. I use this condition note like 1% of the time, if not like 0.5% condition of the time. Every now and then I get a X library book that's just amazing. Like it's completely pristine, but I'm not going to put it as like new because it's X library. So I go up as high as very good if it's like completely in really good shape. And it happens every now and then. And I put X library, yet is in great condition. Seems it was never taken out. Pages are crisp, clean, and like new. Works very well. Okay, the last two are for CDs. CD is mint unused. Case has some wear and library stickers. Okay, so this is for CDs that for whatever reason, if the CD is worth $6 or $7 or something, to me that's not even worth changing the case out, right? But if we're talking like $15 or more or something like that, and I can just quickly change the jewel case with another CD, then I would recommend just changing the case out and using the other condition note, which is CD is in very good condition, includes jewel case and insert, ships direct from Amazon. All right, condition notes for good. The one in red highlighting is the one I use as a default, but you're gonna be changing this because you're gonna have books that have markings. But it's, again, no highlighting or underlining. This is especially important for good books. If you have a book that has to be rated good, and I have another video on how you grade the books, but if you have a book that needs to be rated good, but it has no highlighting or underlining, say that because your book is going to sell before the next guy's that does have highlighting and underlining. It's very important. And this will get you many more sales as opposed to just, okay, I have one default condition note. So as you can see, I don't go overboard and set like 20 conditions for each one. But I do have a variation depending on the situation because there's a lot of different things that can come up. So that's my default. However, I've got two more. No highlighting or underlining. The binding is tight. Somewhere, but overall good condition. Ships direct from Amazon. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing as the one above, just a little bit different. It took out the end of the super saver shipping and all that. Somewhere, but overall good condition. Pages are clean with no markings and the binding is tight. Some discoloration on edges may be present. Okay. Ships direct from Amazon. Okay. Now, so this is for when you get those books that have like little dots like on the outside from like mildew or something, but it's not like too bad. If it's really bad and it's like super gross, then you're going to have to put it acceptable. But if it's like really not that bad, then you can put those books. Basically, that's the condition I use for those books. So I have the little markings on it. All right. Now, before we get into the library one, you're probably wondering, well, what about the good books that do have highlighting or underlining? Well, okay, so this is what I do for that. When you pull up a book and you pick the good condition, this highlighted one that we have set right here is going to instantly come up. If the book has highlighting, you just erase the word no and type some, right? That's what I do. Now, if you want, if it's easier for you, you can copy this condition note to a new one and just change the word no to some, and then you can just, do that and click a couple times as opposed to type it out. But you can do it either way. It takes probably about the same amount of time. And the last one, this is the one you're going to use the most often for library books. Library pre-owned, pages have no highlighting or underlining, and the binding is tight, ships direct from Amazon. Now you're going to be noticing an overall theme here. I'm not focusing on every little thing wrong with the book. People get it's a used book, right? They know it's not going to be perfect. Finally acceptable. You should be listing practically no books in this condition, because basically if a book is really that bad, I usually won't list it at all unless it's really worth it. So the one in red highlighting is kind of the one that's probably going to be most common. Book has some noticeable wear. Binding may be coming loose, but has no highlighting or underlining. Okay, so this is obviously the condition where it has no highlighting or underlining. The next one, book has some noticeable wear. There is some underlining, highlighting, or markings. Binding may be coming loose. Okay, these are the books that are like really messed up. And the last one, book has some noticeable wear. Binding may be coming loose. It's just very straight to the point. You can use any one of those three. Okay, so that's it for condition notes. So now we get to the next setting, which is notification settings. And right here, very simply, I just have checked email and inbound shipping. Advanced settings, so these are the check marks I have checked for this page: cost per unit, supplier, date purchase, condition, reminder, tax code. Next, we've got entry point. This is the first page that comes up when you open Inventory Lab. I have it set to list because that's what you're going to use 99% of the time. Auto price rule. We have it set to match my last input for this. Very simply, whatever you put in last for the price, that's what it's going to put in for a default the next time. That's really the most useful option we have here. And next is printer setup. Okay, so this requires a little bit of talking about. When you set up your Dymo printer, this is all assuming you have a Dymo printer. If you're using a PC, make sure you use Chrome. It is faster on PC than Firefox. It used to be the other way around, but it's improved, and now Chrome wipes the floor with Firefox on Windows as far as memory usage. So you will list your books faster if you use Chrome in Windows, guaranteed. So that's the first thing that deserves mentioning. The second thing that deserves mentioning is you're going to need to download the Dymo label framework to get your printer to work with Inventory Lab. Now, basically what you do is you go to print setup. Let's say you've never set up your printer with Inventory Lab before. You would click run setup right up top on the top right. And you want to have this check mark right here, automatically print label after submit. Okay, so you run setup. Now the first thing is going to have these three right here, right? None, Dymo, or Zebra, because that's the only printers it takes. If you got a Zebra, you click Zebra. I don't have a Zebra, so I'm not going to go into detail on how to set that up. I'm sure there's documentation out there. It shouldn't be that hard. Pick Dymo. Now the next screen should be this. Now it'll say download label writer. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a Windows, it'll say for Windows. You have to download this and run it. So not just install it, but after it's installed, you have to actually run the software, okay? Now, here's what happens on the next page, or between this page and the last slide I was just on. You're going to get a little bar up at the top of your browser, okay? And it's basically going to say, it's going to ask you to install like an extension or a plugin for your browser that lets your printer communicate with the browser, with Inventory Lab. Now, if you don't get that, possibly turn off your ad blocker, but you should get it. Once it comes up, you have to right click, let it install, go through its thing, and then you will be able to select your Dymo printer right here where it says select. Make sure label type is 30252, roll side is left, and hit done. Now, if you don't see the printer come up, try restarting the browser. And that's really it. That's all you have to do. And if you want to know, well, is it my printer? Let's say you're having a problem. If you're not sure if it's the printer or Inventory Lab in the browser, all you got to do is run the Dymo label framework, and there will be an option there where you can print a sample label. If that works, you know it's an issue with your Chrome integration with Inventory Lab. All right, so I just want to do a quick video on how we list on Inventory Lab. So we log in to Inventory Lab, put in our information, we hit log in. Now you hit new batch. 99% of the time, you're going to pick live workflow here. You will pick private only when you have multiple units of several different types of items. So what do I mean? If you have 20 Mickey Mouse plush dolls, if you have 30 Nerf guns, if you have 10 Shopkins dolls and 10 books, and you're shipping all these out at the same time, it could be a very good idea to do private. Here's why. If you pick private, what you're going to have to realize is you're going to have to box everything at the end, okay? Obviously, when you're shipping out hundreds of books, that doesn't make sense because you don't know where you're putting the books, and you're going to have to go through hundreds of books at the end to divvy them up and find each one. It makes zero sense. So that's why we pick live. When we do live, each time we scan a book, list a book, it assigns a warehouse, and that warehouse is set in stone so we know exactly what box to put it in, okay? So private makes sense because if we do live, it could assign us to 7 or 8 different warehouses. And some of those warehouses could have only 1 or 2 units going to a warehouse, which could completely kill your margins on items. So the only time it really makes sense to do private is, like I said, you're shipping multiple quantities, multiple different kinds of units, and you don't want your warehouse to get split into, God knows how many places. So as this is a normal batch, we're going to do live workflow type. Batch name, you could put whatever you want. You could put books, book sale, and then put the town or estate sale, or wherever you got the books, okay? So I'm going to be listing some toys we got. But we don't have like too many of them, so I'm going to go with live, okay? But just know 99% of the time, you're going to pick live. So batch name, I'm going to call this Nerf Trolls Live Pets Walmart. That's just a few of the things that we're listing. Okay, and then for provide box content, we're going to pick on because this is a new requirement that they have. So I'm going to kind of go through how that works here. So you hit create, okay? So before you list anything, you can add a prefix. Again, this is good if you're getting books from a source where you're splitting profits, or if you just want to track your results on a specific shipment. It makes a lot of sense to set a prefix so you can go in and check the sales on just that shipment, right? So I pick OA here. I pick OA for anything that's like toys and stuff like that. It stands for online arbitrage because most of them come from online. So it's not necessary. So just so you know that. So I have my barcode scanner here. I have my printer. Now what you would do is, assuming you're listing books, whatever you're listing, you scan the book. It's going to come up and you're going to pick it. Now I'm just going to type this in here. And it's a Nerf Mastodon is what I'm listing. I only have one of them. So you could see this is what will probably happen if there's multiple listings when you scan a book. If you don't get a listing, it's just going to pop right up. So this is the one we want. It has the best rank here, right? You always want the one with the lowest sales rank. And it's not giving us any information over here. So of course I'm going to hit prime. This is exactly what I would do. Exactly what I would do, okay, if I was going through this. So this is, this is something like you're probably not going to care about. You're listing books, so, but we're going to do standard packaging. All we have to do here, and now we could see they're going for like 120. So I happen to buy this for 60. So I'm going to put 60, quantity of 1. You could put where you got it, doesn't really matter. This is the SKU, has the prefix. Now this is where you set a condition and your condition note. And if you set inventory lab up the way I described in my other video, then you'll have all these set by default. So that's all good. We have a price set here. It shows us our net profit and our return on investment. Now, this is pretty much all I would do for a typical item. Typical book, this is all I would do, okay? You hit submit and save. Before it prints out a label, it's going to assign it to a fulfillment center. So this is going to PHL5. So you're going to hit accept. And with any luck, especially with books and CDs and things, 90% of the time, everything is going to go to one warehouse. So most of the time, you should luck out and only have to send things to one place, okay? And then after that, you pretty much go down the line. Are we selling these? Okay, so we're going to sell these pop figures here too. So I'm just going to go through another item, okay? Now I'm just going to type it in, but normally I'd be scanning it, but I kind of have a shortage of USB ports here. So I'm going to just type in the name. Now this is also something you do if you have no ISBN and no barcode for a book. You'd have to type in the name. So this top one is what we're looking for. Now, how much did we pay for this? $10 we paid for this. We have 2. Okay, so we have 2. We paid $10. Going for a lot of money. These are exclusive. Anything that's exclusive can be worth a lot of money. All right, so net profit, we're making $30 on each of these. And this all looks good. We have new here. And, I mean, it's really that simple. Hit submit and save. And now, okay, see what happens here now. Again, this is happening because I'm listing toys, right? It's going to ABE8 and it's sending both of them there. Now that's okay with me because ABE8, I happen to know, is I believe it's New Jersey, and that's much closer to me than any of the other warehouses. So I'm okay with that. But just know that when you're doing books, it's 90% of the time it's all going to go to one place, okay? And that's pretty much it. Now what I haven't showed you yet is after you list an item, what you have to do is select a box to assign it to. So we assign this to box 1. Now these are also going to go in box 1, but now remember this is a different shipment. So this is going in box 1 for ABE8 shipment. And this is going in box 1 for PHL5's shipment. So you can see the numbers aren't exactly the same. You could see this is 46L7T7GU. This is 46L7NQGU001. So you can see that little bit of difference there. So these are different box assignments because they're different shipments. Okay. So hopefully that's not too confusing. All you gotta do, like for instance, when we throw this in a box and we go to pack it up, we're gonna take a marker and we're gonna write PHL5 on the box, and then we're also going to write 001 for box 1. Now, I don't go writing all these other numbers because that doesn't matter. All that matters is you write the number and where it's going, and that's it. Now, the same thing for these 2 pops. When I put these in their own box, I'm going to write 001 because they're going in their own 001 box because this is going to somewhere else. And I'm going to write ABE8 on the box as well. So I know that this is box 001 for the ABE8 Fulfillment Center, as opposed to 001 for the PHL5 Fulfillment Center, which is going somewhere completely different, okay? Now, that's pretty much the workflow and how you would go through this. I'll go through one more thing. Again, it's very simple. So an inventory lab makes it simple for you, luckily. Now this is a little live pets talking bird here, and this one is, I believe this one's called Ruby. So I'm just going to type it in here. Like I said, normally I'd be scanning this with my barcode scanner, but when I use a microphone, I have issues with having everything plugged in at once. All right, so this we paid $20 for. How many of these do we have? We have 10 of these. All right, so put in the quantity. Now, it's very rare, like I said, when you're doing books, you're probably not going to, it's always going to be a quantity of 1. The total cost is always going to be like $1 or $2. And for simplicity, if you kind of spend $1 here or $2 here, I like to just put like $1.50 for all of them so I don't even have to mess with it. And purchase date and all that, supplier, I mean, you can do that for your records if you want. If it was a book, you would pick very good, like new, good, whatever the condition was. Again, this is a toy, so this is new. And, I'm just going to hit submit and save. And let's see where it puts it. Okay, so luckily you can see these are all going to the ABE8 fulfillment center. Okay, so now let's say we have a box and we want to put all these in it, but it doesn't fit because there's 10 of them. So let's say we have 2 of these pops going to box 001. They fit. Let's say we could fit 2 more in that box, and then it's maxed out, right? So you hit 001, you hit assign, okay? So now let's say that box is full. You have to move on to the next one. Well, let's say the next box you can fit 8 because you make a larger box. So then you could pick quantity of 8, 002, hit assign, and now it puts the remaining 8 in that box, okay? You see, so it's always very important to make sure you write down, ABE8, because that's the fulfillment center. You put that on your box, and then you write down the box number. And that's just for your records, right? Because when you go to weigh everything at the end, and it's very simple. I mean that's it, right? So yeah, so I'm gonna kind of show you at the end once I have everything listed. I'm gonna show you how we have everything boxed, and like what we write on the boxes and how we do all that. I'll kind of finish up this shipment and show you everything start to finish. Okay, so once you're done scanning all your books, let's say you have everything assigned as far as which box everything goes in. So once all that's done, there's going to be a button at the bottom right, and it's going to say either send batch, complete batch, something like that. I have mine already closed out here, but it's going to be the button at the bottom right. You're going to click it, and once you click it, it's going to bring up another screen. You're going to have to hit OK, and then once you do that, that's going to send everything over to Amazon. Okay, so you click this button here. Now it's gonna look something like this. You would hit OK. I'm not going to hit it here, but that's what you want to do. Now once you do that, you're going to go to Seller Central. You're going to go to Manage FBA Shipments. So you go to Inventory, Manage FBA Shipments, and you're going to see Working Shipment. And you're going to click on Work on Shipment. Okay, so here you're going to pick small parcel delivery, and that's the default. So you're going to pick UPS because it's 90% of the time that's going to be the cheapest way to do it, and because they will also pick up the packages from your house with a free year of UPS Smart Pickup. So make sure you sign up for that if you haven't already. And just so you know, once you're signed up for Smart Pickup, all you have to do is go to UPS, and you could see all my information here. You go to shipping, you go to schedule pickup, and it shows you your account, and you pick, include this shipment with the, whatever the date is, Smart Pickup, and that's pretty much all it's going to ask you for when you're signed up for the automatic pickup. Depending on which account you have, it might ask for like time that they should come, things like that. What I found is they come when they want to come. It doesn't matter what time you pick, they're just going to come at some point during the day, and that's kind of inconvenient, but that's just how they do it. So I'm going to hit submit on this. So it says I've already scheduled one, so I don't have to do this, but this is what you would do. So you have your pickup all scheduled, assuming you have that all signed up. Okay, so everything is sent to Amazon at that point. And like I said, you pick SPD. You can pick LTL if you want, but if you're going to do it this way, make sure you watch my video on doing LTL shipping. Now, LTL is when you ship everything on a pallet. Okay, so this is takes a little longer to get to the warehouse, but it's cheaper. So this is what you want to look at. If you can get your hands on a pallet, if you don't mind it taking a little longer to get to the warehouse, and if you're shipping a lot of books, so like a lot of weight. If you're shipping like, over 300 books, it's probably worth it to look into LTL. But I've done huge shipments. I mean, I've done shipments up to 1,000 books with UPS, and it's just fine. I mean, you spend a little more on shipping, but it's not the biggest deal. But if you get to the point in your business where you're shipping out a lot of books, now I'm talking, 500-600 books at a minimum per week. If you're shipping that many books, you probably want to look into LTL. But we're going to pick UPS here. Okay, so since we entered all the box information in Inventory Lab, you can see this Amazon Marketplace Web Services is already highlighted. So we don't have to pick any of this. It's already set to multiple boxes. This is all set. What we do have to set is the number of boxes, okay? So we have 3 boxes, and I'm going to show you this at the end of the video, kind of how we did all this as far as boxing goes. But the bottom line is you should be boxing as you go. Scan a book, list a book, throw it in the box. When the box is full, push it to the side, start a new box, assign that box 002, and all the rest of the books go to 002. Close that up, next box, have all the books go to 003, and you just keep on going like that. So my shipment has 3 boxes. I'm going to set to 3. Box weight, box dimensions, I found you don't have to put in if you don't choose to. It shouldn't make any difference. So I'm going to put 14 pounds, 12 pounds, and 11 pounds. If you have like a huge box, it might make a difference. Like if it's like a bizarre size, so maybe if you're doing something crazy, you might want to put it there. But you know, most of the time, it doesn't matter. So you hit calculate. Now, if you go to the top, it's going to tell you where it's going. So you see this is NJ. So these are all going to New Jersey. Okay. Okay, it's going to cost $15.14, which is really good. That's a really good shipping rate for 37 pounds. You know, really good rate. So you accept the charges. It's a cost of doing business. I mean, it adds up to virtually nothing. And in terms of the overall scope of things and the potential to make, you know, money on books. I mean, our return on investment as used booksellers is so high. So we're going to hit print box labels. Okay, so it's going to open or download it down here. You click on it, open in a new tab, and you're going to print. It's going to print all these pages. Now you can see there's 2 sides to this, okay? It's going to print on your normal 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. And I'm going to show you how we put these on the boxes at the end of this video here. So that's all printing out. You're going to want to click on complete shipment. You want to click mark as shipped. Then if you go back into inventory, manage FBA shipments, you can see that it'll say shipped. Okay, so that's really all there is to it. Now UPS should arrive at your house the next day, business day, or if it's over the weekend, they'll come Monday, and they'll do the pickup. And the pickup's great because it goes onto the UPS truck, as opposed to going to you bringing them to a UPS location where it's sitting there all day long. It goes onto the truck. So I've actually had it where they do the pickup and my stuff gets checked in the very next day. It all depends on the distance to the warehouse, but it's definitely a benefit to do the pickup. So that's it. Now let me show you the boxes and how we put those labels on. All right, so we have all the labels printed out. Now they're all going to look pretty much like this. So what we did is we pretty much divvied up all the labels onto the boxes that they're going to. So you can see at the top right, it's going to say how many boxes there are. So this shipment says box 1 of 1. This one is going to Texas, and it shows you the town right before it. So you're going to have to match this up with the code. So when you're in your shipment, for instance, they'll have codes like ABE4 or PHL5 and things like that. And that's going to correspond to the address, okay? So I happen to know that this Texas address right here happens to be DFW6, okay? And I matched that up. And you can see on the box, I also write box 001. So that's the first box and the only box. So this is a 1-box shipment. Now I also write the weight in the other corner. So I wrote down 20 when I went to weigh it. So now it's really easy to match up because you can see that box 1 of 1, it has 20 pounds. Now, here's what I do. Some people will cut this in half and put one on one side, one on the other. However, all we really need to do is put it here so that when someone cuts it open, they don't cut into the barcode. So what I like to do is just put it just like this right over the crease. And then all I do is I take my tape gun and then I peel off 4 pieces of tape and I tape down all 4 corners. And once they're all taped down, you want to move on to the next box. Now most times when you're doing books, like I said, they'll usually all go to one fulfillment center. So it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be one thing like DFW6 or ABE4 or whatever, and everything is going in the same place. So in this case, I have 3 different fulfillment centers because I'm doing toys and all kinds of stuff in this shipment. So you can see this one says box 1 of 2. This one's going to Pennsylvania. So again, how do I know which box is which? Again, I write down the fulfillment center on the box. I put ABE4. I put the number 001, even though it's kind of hard to read, and I put the weight 13 pounds. So I know that this box lines up, okay? It's very important that you number your boxes and that you do it this way because the box contents will line up to each box. And if you don't do it that way, then when it gets to the fulfillment center and you have all your boxes mixed up, they're not going to know what goes with what, and it could cause issues and delays in getting checked in. So you want to make sure that as you're boxing your first box, you write down 001, the fulfillment center that it's going to, fill it up, move it to the side, you scan your next book, and you assign that to box 002, write it on your box 002, fill that box up for the next 20 or 30 books, and keep doing it that way. And that's how you keep track of everything. So now I'm just going to tape this down the same way I did. It's a different fulfillment center, so again, this starts at 001, so every time it's a new fulfillment center, it starts over at 001 again. But that's it. I mean, it's very simple. We have some void fill, big rolls that we get from a newspaper company. And I'll show you what that looks like. Now this is an empty roll, but this is what they look like. And you can get them for free or you can get them for like $5. And they're huge, okay? Now when you don't have these, then the alternative is you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you can buy small packs of them. And I mean, so that's pretty much it. So once everything's labeled, this is good to go. So once your box looks like this, it's closed up, you have your label on, all you have to do is put it outside for UPS to pick up, and Amazon's going to handle the rest and check everything in. And that's it. As I say that, I see flaws on the back. So, perfect time to show you what to do when that happens. What you gotta do is delete it from Inventory Lab here. Go to delete. It's called the good old days. Hit OK. Go into your Seller Central. Go to Manage FBA Shipments. You want to pull up the shipment that you've been working on. Go to Work on Shipment. And you're going to see that book when you go to Review and Modify Units. Here it is, the good old days right here. I don't know why I didn't jump to this, but it says New. Click the X. I mean, that's all you got to do. So I'll go back.